There you go, guys. Get to hear me clear my throat before this all gets going. Guys, welcome back to another Queries in the Multiverse. From the Multiverse, sorry. Again, clearing my throat. I have a pretty special guest with me today. I have somebody from the channel, another person from the channel. It's Joe. We all know Joe. He loves Game of Thrones. He loves House of Dragons. He loves all this stuff. So we're going to talk to him and get to know Joe better. So let me bring him in here and let's get going.
Let me clear my throat.
Yeah. Should have did that before we started, but whatever.
Oh, no. It's great. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm feeling all right. Just got out of work not too long ago.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Awesome. So it took us a little bit to schedule it. Yes, absolutely.
My Ben shirt. Thanks to Mama Raina. Thanks to Ann.
Miss Ann, thank you so much. I can't wait for mine to get here tomorrow. But they look awesome. They really do look awesome. I can't wait to wear it. I was telling Joe actually the other day when Taco got his, I think that's going to be my Sunday shirt going forward. So you will see that a lot on the channel, guys. I can assure you of that. Those shirts for sure.
Our channel as well as other channels.
Absolutely. So yeah, no, they will be there. Ben is always in the forefront of our minds, guys. But yeah, this is I finally got to get you on here, man. We had some scheduling issues, but that happens. It's our life. It's
especially
our life.
Your parents.
Oh man, yeah. No, that's just what this is. But yeah, I wanted to get everybody from the multiverse first kind of thing. So no, I'm glad we could finally get to do this. So let's get right into it, man. I kind of know, but tell everybody, where'd you grow up?
Long Island, New York. Born and raised. Up until I was left for college, moved upstate New York for like a couple of months. Okay. Other than that, until 2 years ago, pretty much planted the flag and stayed around until it priced me out.
Yeah, fair enough. Buddy. Fair enough, absolutely. And you are in Virginia now, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay.
The greater Richmond area.
Gotcha. Yeah. See, I grew up in Maryland, so I know, kind of both a little bit. My daughter actually lives in Binghamton.
Okay.
I know a little bit of upstate New York, yeah. All right, so tell me, kind of about parents, siblings. How was growing up in
middle
Long
child,
Island?
4 sisters.
Oh, whoa! So two older, 2 younger.
Yeah, my parents had 5 kids in 5 years.
Hey, they were busy, man. They're busy.
Apparently,
the ongoing joke in my grandparents' house was because my grandfather was in the military and they had 7 kids that they knew when he was going to be home.
My mother's father has. My mother's parents had 7 kids. My father's parents had 5 kids.
Yeah,
I'm a big family of big families.
Absolutely, and you're Italian, or at least part Italian, right?
Yeah, half. Both my parents are half Italian.
Okay, so yeah. But dated an Italian girl, man. I love the parties and the family get-togethers and that.
Food.
Was the best. Oh yeah. Okay, so how old are you? I guess that's where. How old are you?
How old am I? 37.
Yeah, 37. So how old are your sisters then?
39, 38, and 2 of them are 35.
Wow. Okay, so the other one hasn't even turned 36 yet.
No, yeah, it's 2 years younger because they're twins, and then 2 years.
Oh, older. Okay. I see. So twins, man. All right. So, House of Women, how was that?
Next question.
Did you ever get the bathroom? That is the real question.
Very rarely. Very, very rarely.
Yeah.
When we got older, when we first growing up, we just had one bathroom.
Oh, wow.
After
our
tenants
family
moved out,
for the whole family.
After our tenants moved out, we had 2. But
wow.
It was a struggle for a bit.
So what did your parents do then? So did they own property?
Oh, they owned a house, yeah.
Okay.
My father is a union carpenter for a few years.
Okay.
My mother worked for the post office.
Oh, wow. So secure job. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Firmly lower middle class on Long Island.
Hey,
you can make a lot of money and you ain't gonna hit middle class. It don't matter.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, especially in New York. Yeah, right. Okay, so then where'd you go to school then? So what was I guess just start with high school. I mean, yeah, you don't have to go through everything.
My high school was Lyndhurst High School. So I kind of grew up in from 6 to 20 something.
Okay.
Most of my life. It's it's 1 point supposedly had the world record for most bars per square mile. I grew up 5 blocks from the beach my whole life. So drink in hand, toes in the sand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Went to
Oh,
school down in Florida for college, St. Leo University,
okay.
over in the greater by Dale City.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I went down there for a year. Ended up being more on the beach or in parties than I was in class. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
Dude, I went to Daytona Beach. I went to motorcycle school in Daytona Beach. Let me tell you, yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun.
Sturgis.
Didn't learn a lot of things. Didn't learn anything, but a lot of fun. Yeah. So okay. So you went down here for a year, and you said you upstate too a little bit.
Yeah, I had a buddy that was living upstate, and I was
Okay.
starting to get frustrated with my life and things not going places. So
Sure.
went up there for like a month and a half, 2 months. Stayed with him in the Albany area, Schenectady,
Okay.
the place beyond the pines, as the movie. That's the translation of the word. That's where that Ryan Gosling movie comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay. I know
fun.
I've heard
A lot
that.
of snow.
Wow.
Fucking
Yeah.
snow was up to here. I was like, damn.
I can imagine. Yeah. So okay, so then, while you were in school, high school or college, did you do anything like theater, music, anything like that? Okay,
Yeah,
of
acting,
course.
sports,
Okay,
football, wrestling. Uh, Played soccer, baseball, lacrosse. Did acting, civil clubs. I was at one point the leader of the Knights of Columbus. They have a youth part of it called the Columbian Squires. I was in charge of New York State for a year.
oh wow. Okay.
Um, I always my parents tried to keep me busy because otherwise I got into trouble.
Well, no, but hey, um,
Did
I
it
wish my
work?
parents would have. I wish my parents would have did a better job at that part for sure. Okay, so you did acting. So what? Any plays?
Yeah, a couple. I was in a
Okay.
play my favorite one that I did was a play called End Stuff. It was
Okay.
basically a bunch of independent kind of monologues and duologues about being a teenager, basically, and growing up and the things that we deal with and stuff. I'm never into musicals because I don't have the voice for it.
Fair enough.
Uh, I I am not a singer.
Yeah, I'm not a
Uh,
singer either. I try, but I'm not good. That's awesome. Okay, so any other plays?
yeah, it was a couple. Nothing that I was as
Okay.
front and center in, but
So is that? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you watched movies and stuff like that before that, but is that kind of where that sort of geek bone came
oh
from,
no.
or so? Okay, so all right,
I
so then let's start where that started. Then
I
where
was
did?
I was born and raised with a controller in my hand.
Yeah.
I got my
Okay.
first started playing video games at 3. My uncle Irv, he owns he's not really my uncle, he's a friend of the family. He owns an Army Navy store and he
Okay.
collects comic books. So my whole life, he had a whole room just filled with boxes of comic books at his store. I would
Oh
go to
my
work with my
goodness.
mother and just sit there and read through. And then at his house, he has like safes filled with comic books and rooms of filled with comic books. He's got like the first Superman, first Batman. He's
Oh
got all of
wow.
he's been collecting them since like the 40s and 50s.
Right.
So I was leafing through comic books my whole life, video gaming my whole life. And then around age 11, 12, I started playing Magic. I've been
Okay.
playing that since 96, 97.
Sure.
That was a big part of my geekdom. But also my mother and father showed me Star Wars when I was like 5, 4. I've always grown up watching geeky stuff.
So
X-Men the animated series.
yeah.
As you all know, superhero shows. I watched them all, even the ones that everyone else thinks are bad. It's just it's
Joe
comic
loves
books come to
everything. That's
life,
for
and
sure.
that's
No, you love everything, man.
I try.
It's admirable. No, it really is. No, look. I mean, look. There's things about Star Wars that I don't like, and things about other things I don't like. But I do try to like it overall. I really do.
My thing is, I try to focus more on what I like than what I don't like. I try to
Sure.
talk about the positive things of things. There's too much negativity in the world, and I just don't want to be one of
Yeah.
those people.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how it worked for me too. Was I was one of those prequel hater fans that just was so toxic, and I wasn't like as bad as some people, but for sure. I was not part of the solution either. So, and I realized that, and it was like, yeah, why am I love this, even though there are bad things about it. I still love it. I still love this thing. I'm not going to stop watching. It's not like I stopped watching the prequels.
Don't
I
get me
didn't like
wrong.
them.
Even the original trilogy, there are some
Oh,
bad parts to it. I mean, I
oh,
love them because I grew up with
for
them as
sure.
campy, but I mean, it's not perfect. Not as
No,
much as people would like to believe it is, and putting on those nostalgia glasses, we all think it is. But if you really try, you can find things that are wrong with
oh, there's
every movie.
tons. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's all
Yeah, and I
about
think
your
that's
perception.
exactly what it. Yeah, I think that's what it is too. It's right perception. No, you're absolutely right. It's why am I going to sit here and spend my time hating this thing that I really do love? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where I can say things about it that I don't like, but I don't have to be a dick. Like I don't have to be a dick about.
and like I think people forget, or maybe not that they forgot, but people never read comic books like I did.
Sure.
Most people they only read the big event comics and the
Hmm.
there was a lot of really bad comic books too. Like not every comic book run was fantastic. You slugged through some of them, but I still enjoyed it. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes they wouldn't have anything happening in them. There'd just be some like random filler comic, which is why I love like the CW superhero shows that everybody else has problems with. To me, those are comic books. Like they read out like a comic book. They play like comic books.
Yeah. I get that for sure. I mean, I love Superman and Lois. I think that's one of the best
That
shows
show
they've
is
ever
killing it.
done.
I actually
Yeah.
Gotham Knights is pretty good too, surprisingly.
I do like Gotham Knights. Yeah, I do like Gotham Knights. I like. Have you seen Titans on HBO? That
Yes,
show
good
is
show.
super good.
I
That
haven't watched
show
the
is.
last season yet, but
I have no. I haven't watched the last season, but oh, excuse me. Yeah, but yeah, I really like that show. I like stuff like that. There was another one they did that I actually thought was good, and people didn't like that. Was it Black Lightning? Is that what it
I
was
loved
called?
it. I loved them
I
all.
thought it
Black
was
Lightning
good.
was great.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
And it did a real good job of parsing real life issues.
Hmm.
Same thing Superman and Lois is doing.
Yeah.
Have you been watching the new season?
Not yet. No, I haven't. I know. I got to catch back up, but I am
The
caught
end
up
of
to
last
last season.
season,
Yes.
they broke that Lois
Hmm.
wasn't doing so hot.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
whole season is about dealing with not loss, it's not like she dies or anything like that. At least not to this
Yeah.
point. I
Yeah.
can't tell
Right.
you what's gonna happen in the future,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
it's about like somebody going through something themselves, but also as a family dealing with that kind of situation. Personally, I've gone through it plenty of times with close family members,
Sure.
friends, and it really touches on some things. Just get me.
Well, I mean,
But
they kind of ended the season that way with him
yeah, that's
coming
what
out to what's her name, his friend. You know, from that's
Lana.
yeah, Lana. Yeah, that's a great moment, man. When he just kind of floats up in the air, just like, oh, he's just gonna.
Tyler Hoechlin
He's
is a
just,
heck of a Superman,
dude, oh man, I
and not
really,
just a Superman. He's a heck of a Clark Kent.
yeah,
He
that,
really conveys the human side of
yes.
superhuman.
No, I 100% agree, man. I love him. I think he should have been the new Superman. I really do.
I wish bring him Superman, bring Grant Gustin in as the Flash, and just do this stuff.
Man. And I really like the guy that plays Hammer. John
John Henry Irons.
John
Yes,
Henry Irons, man. I love him, dude.
yeah,
I love him
he's a
in
good
that show.
actor,
And his daughter's great too. His
and I love the
daughter's
way they
really
brought
good.
him in because you didn't know who he
Yeah.
was. You thought he was Lex Luthor. Like
I
really,
thought for sure he was Lex Luthor. Yeah, I
same
really
thing. They
did.
did that same subterfuge kind of thing with the whole Bizarro Doomsday thing. Like
Such a
it
great
was.
season. Such a great season. Yeah, it was so good. It really was a good show. I love that show. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much about it, man. But okay, so how I got to know you though, and how I know what you love a lot is Game of Thrones, and coming in on the Fellowship show with us, and then staying on obviously past that. I mean, where did that? I mean, obviously you watched it first day one, or did you watch it? Okay, so go ahead.
I started before season 5 aired.
Okay,
I
okay.
put it off for a while. Everyone was like, "You gotta watch this." I was I'm not gonna watch that. Dragons. I don't fucking want to watch that. And then I watched it, and I binged the first 4 seasons in about 3 days, and then maybe like a week. And then the first 4 episodes of season 5 leaked, so I watched those, and then I was like, "Shit, now what?"
Right, right.
So I started watching. This is where I first started watching YouTube. I never watched YouTube before that.
Oh, really? Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
so I started watching everything I could find about the stories, the lore, the backstories, the characters, deep
Sure.
dives on all the houses. I got involved with a lot of YouTube creators, talking to them, getting into a few Facebook groups, started moderating a bunch of Game of Thrones channels.
Mhm.
Towards the end of the seasons there, some of them had 200, 300,000 people watching live.
It's crazy,
Trying
man.
to
Crazy.
click through all that and moderate a chat like that is not easy.
I can imagine. Yeah. It's insane. That's got to be insane.
Yeah. But it
Especially
was
when you
fun.
have like the 100,000 of them just putting random thoughts every 5 seconds down, like, oh, this, and then this,
And
oh,
it
and then
wasn't
this, and then
bad
this.
up until season 8. And then everybody was so
Oh,
divided and
sure.
people were so hateful and attacking each other for liking things. And it's such a
See, I guess I had the benefit of watching it all at once, so I saw everything coming. And not that
me
I knew
too.
exactly what was going to happen, but everything made sense to me as it was happening in season 8 because I was finishing 7 and watching 8 as 8 was finishing. So I kind of watched 8 live, but when I watched the last episode, it had already aired. It was like a couple days earlier it had aired. So like I kind of pretty much watched that entire like 8 seasons live almost like together. So for me, it was like I get all of this. Like this all makes sense to me.
Yeah, before every season I rewatched the whole show.
Oh wow, okay, okay.
Read all the books, including the world books, the history
Oh
books.
man, there's so much.
I love them. Fire and Blood, House of the Dragon is based on Fire and Blood Part 1. There's a Part 2 coming out, but it's the entire Targaryen family history. It's his, George R. R. Martin, like I say, it's his Silmarillion.
Oh, see, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, see that's what exactly I was kind of the same way when Lord of the Rings came out. I went right onto YouTube and like and I mean to this day I still watch channels that just talk about the lore and the backstory and stuff just because there's so much. I mean, even if you learn it all, there's still so much to know. There's
Yeah, and there's
still
all
so
these like
much.
little notes and things that he's written that's coming out and
Yeah.
stuff. It's great.
Well, I'm sure Martin's the same way, but Tolkien wrote like
Oh no, that's what I
thousands
mean.
of years of
That's what I'm talking
history.
about. Talking
Right.
about Tolkien. That's George R. R. Martin's influence. Like his thing
Right.
was he just didn't like how Tolkien made characters so black and white.
Nah, I
That's
can
why
see
in
that.
Game of Thrones they made everybody a little grayer.
Sure.
The show doesn't do as good of a job with it as the books, but in the books you really see the flaws in every character as well as the strengths, which is
Gotcha.
important because this whole aspect where everybody thinks that everything needs to be exactly perfect, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's what leads to a lot of the toxicity and stuff that we were talking about. Nothing's ever going to be perfect.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, and I think you're right. I think you need that because I think that is what Tolkien, at least with Frodo, in my opinion, got really great because you see the character go from this wholesome person to, pretty much a very mean and hateful person toward, by the end of it before he finally does what he has to do. So
It is
but yeah,
a wonderful view of absolute power corrupting absolutely.
yeah,
It just
oh
played
yeah,
out in front of your face.
yeah. Yeah. See, like one of my favorite characters, and I hate the character. I mean, I literally hate the character, but it's Joffrey. Just because of the
Little
insanity
prick.
of the character
And
and
he,
just
he stopped acting because of all the death threats he was getting and
I can
people
imagine. I can imagine. That kid was good.
hated him.
That kid
Like
was
because he was
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're doing well when the whole world hates you. Or it's the opposite. Like
Well, yeah.
Jake Lloyd, people were hard after him, and that's terrible. They're
Well, they
kids.
did the same thing to
First,
my best man
and
that
and
played.
Malfoy too, the kid who played him. They did
Yes.
the same thing. We should
Yes.
not be going after children. You shouldn't be going after anybody because of their character that they play in a movie or show.
No.
Whether it's because the character was evil or because you didn't like the way they played the role, they're still people.
Yeah.
And people forget that. We're so desensitized to everything going on because
Mhm.
we're all communicating in words over the internet. People just, you don't see their face, you can't see the emotions. People forget that people are people.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true, man. It's true. I mean, my best is another one that they did to Star Wars. He played Jar Jar,
Yeah.
and some of the things that people said to him was just insane.
I
And it's
love that
like,
they had him come back.
yes, oh, he got a great comeback. But it's just weird how, like, I remember not liking Jar Jar as a character, but I didn't know who played him. I
didn't go bothering looking up
I
people
never
who
looked
sent
up.
death
Yeah,
threats to their house.
I don't remember. Like, I was never like, oh, this person should die for playing the character. I was just like, I don't like the character. I think it's just a bad character. Yeah, the extent people went to was.
I do think they should have gone with the whole Darth Jar Jar thing, where it was all intentional and he was just pretending to be an idiot.
Dude,
I think that would have been.
It's my favorite conspiracy theory in Star Wars, and
I don't even think it's a conspiracy theory.
It's the only one I really want to be true. It really is.
I do think it was true. I think that just because of the backlash against the character, he changed it. But I think that would have actually made the people's view of the character change in a positive way.
I love it. I think it's a great storyline if it's canon. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, and even the character I've come to grow to love to an extent.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I still don't like the subtle racism in there. Yeah. But I do respect, or at least understand what the character was supposed to be now more than I did at first. So yeah, absolutely. But okay, so I want to talk about Game of Thrones because this is more interesting to me. So Khaleesi, man, tell me, like, she was always going to destroy that city. Like, there's no way she wasn't going to.
She said it like 9 times. We're going to burn down the city and leave fire and blood, and we're going to destroy. And like, yeah, that's. Did you not see the first 3 cities she destroyed?
But for me, the thing that really pushed her over the line, and there's a lot of stuff that pushed her over the line, but the one thing that in my opinion, I really believe put that fire in her eyes, and like she was just like, I'm going to burn this city down no matter what, was when Cersei pushes her handmaiden off the top of the thing right before they attack.
Yeah, Missandei.
Yes. I think that was just like, okay, now you just went too far. Like, you've done so much already, and you're just going to kill this girl in front of me, one of my favorite people? No, that's it.
Well, no, here's my thing, though. She did the same thing to Sam Tarly's brother and father.
Yes, she did.
She didn't react as crazy when her husband and son were killed. Now, I think the thing that really set her off, more than anything, I believe that helped break her.
Yeah.
But the bells. See, when she was young, when she was just a baby and they escaped King's Landing, she was very young, but she still heard those bells ringing when there was, and I think that's like a trigger. I think that she snapped back to that moment and back to.
See, I didn't know that. Okay.
Everything that happened to her family and everything like that. I think it was more of a every emotion that she's been bottling up for her entire life. She came flooding out, and I do think that was the linchpin. Everything happened with Missandei. I think at that point she was like, "Yo, fuck this bitch."
Well, that's what I mean. I think that was more of her being like, "Oh, you're just going to do this right in front of me. Oh, I'm going to kill you. Like, you are going to die today, no matter what. If I have to burn the city down, it's going to happen. You're going to die."
My thing is, though, she could have just blew up the Red Keep and just killed Cersei.
Fair enough. That is completely fair. I won't disagree with that at all. But again, I don't think the whole
No, I don't think it just came out of nowhere at all. No. I think she was crazy the whole show.
Dude, like you said before, when she burned people from day one, the Tarleys, she's just like, no, burn them. Like, I don't care what you.
She had her husband pour melted gold over her brother's head. Yeah, he was a scumbag and an abuser.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
But it's also her brother.
I mean,
there's more than one way to do something. You don't need to melt gold over their face to kill him. Could have just took the Arak and.
But she has that blood in her. Like, I don't see how it's that surprising if she did do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where I guess my kind of thoughts were. It's more of, she seemed trying to be good for most of the show, but she wasn't. She would still make super fucked up decisions and just kill people.
She was doing things for supposedly good reason at first.
Yes, right.
It's just the way she did it was never right.
Right.
The guys, the Unsullys, granted they were slave masters, but they were trying to sell them to her for a dragon. She then had the dragon burn the guy to death and stole the slaves anyway.
Just took them. Yeah.
And it's not like they only knew war at that point. They didn't know how to do anything else. So it's not like they were able to just live a happy, free life. She still had them killing people for her.
Yeah. Well, not even that, but even when she like offers them the freedom at that moment, like where are they going to go?
Right, they don't know anything else.
They're all eunuchs, and all they know is fighting. Like, what are they going to do? So she didn't really give them much of a choice. I mean, she technically gave them a choice.
Grey Worm must have had a heck of a personality that we didn't get to see in the show, because I don't know how he bagged Missandei with no dick. That is impressive.
Dude. I like them two together. I really did. I like them too, man. I thought they were good in the show at least.
Yeah, I like Grey Worm.
really
I just don't think like people are like, oh, but I don't think he had much character in the show. Like I don't think it was a lot to it. It was more of a stoic, that guardian role, that protector role, which is great. But like the way that people talk about it, you would think that he was Bronn or some of the characters that they just like personality popped off the screen. And
no, it just felt like more like he was the one that she just connected to first out of all of them, and he knew what was going on, and he was already the commander, so it made sense to have him in the circle.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really just kind of how I took it. Yeah, I never really thought of him as like I don't want to say influential, because he was influential on her, but I mean, he wasn't like
he was no Barristan Selmy.
Right, yeah, he wasn't one of her most trusted advisors. He was just more like, no, I can do that if you want me to go do that. Like,
he was also the only one left at the end.
That's fair. That's fair, man. Yeah, they all, dude. The other one I like is the one that gets the grayscale or the dragon scale.
I
love him, man. I love him, and I think he gets such a bad rap throughout the show, or not a bad rap, but I think he's trying to be loyal. I really do.
Yeah, he's also trying to bag a teenage girl the whole show.
Well, right.
He's also a slave. He sold slaves. I mean, granted, yes, he's trying to, but I mean,
he served his time.
Lord Friendzone.
I know, right? I know.
It's just the Daenerys supposed to be like 15 at the start of the show or something.
Is that what it is?
15? Dude is like all over her. It's like let's chill.
Well, see though, at first, the first couple seasons, I didn't really take him as trying to like get with her. It was more of just him protecting her. But as it went on, it definitely got more and more creepy.
He was trying to groom her.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. Like I said, I just didn't take it that way at first, but it definitely got that way.
And in it's more clear in the books.
Okay, fair enough.
How he's like in love with her.
Okay, yeah. Because see, I didn't really understand that. Like, I got that he wanted to be with her, but he never really, at least in the show. Again, I haven't read the book.
That's why he betrayed her brother.
Okay, which makes sense. I mean, it makes
total
sense. Yeah, I mean, look. Well, that's kind of weird that they just showed a 15-year-old naked in the first episode.
Yeah, I mean, granted, she wasn't 15.
Well, no, but
yeah,
right.
Yes, very weird. It's like Euphoria.
A little bit. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I actually do want to talk about one of my favorites arcs, I guess, or characters is Arya and the Hound together, man, because that is some of the best stuff in the whole show to me.
It is. The Hound's character I love. I think he is one of the most misunderstood characters in the beginning of the show. Mm-hmm. Yes, he hits people. He killed the butcher's boy. That was the one thing that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
But he was doing what he was told to do. He was following orders, which is a terrible excuse nowadays. But back then it was you either die or you listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he would actually trying to protect the Stark children the whole time. Sansa, he always tried to protect. Like he just didn't do it in the nicest of ways. He's like a New Yorker.
Wasn't he one of the ones? He was the one that went to her and was like, "You need to get out of here."
Yeah, he's offered to take her to safety. And,
you need to get.
That's what I mean. He's like a New Yorker. He always tries to be nice and do the right thing, but he'll just like be like, "You fucking moron!
Yeah, right.
You got to do this." He just didn't have like that bedside manner, which is number one misunderstood thing about New Yorkers. Everyone thinks that everybody's mean. They're not mean. They'll drop their hat. They'll stop everything to help you, but they'll just call you a fucking idiot for getting yourself in the situation. It's different.
Yeah. No, exactly. No, you're right. It's that whole. It's an East Coast thing. It really is. It's an East Coast thing, but definitely New York. Definitely New York. I love that. And then Arya too, man. Like I really wanted that Arya spinoff. I don't
know who that is. Arya? Arya Stark doesn't exist. No, I'm just kidding.
A girl. What? Yeah, a girl. Yeah. That's a weird storyline. Just kind of pops out of nowhere and it just disappears out of.
So in the show,
yeah,
they have Jaq and Hagar doing all of her training and stuff.
mm-hmm.
In the books, Jaq and Hagar is not at, or at least you don't, as Jaq and Hagar. She never sees him again. It's just the Faceless Men are training her. So that was more for the show that they kept one character and everything.
Okay,
it's different in the books.
Gotcha. But but does she actually become like a full blown assassin, or she leaves like she does in the show?
Not sure.
Okay.
The books aren't finished yet, so.
Oh well, that is true.
The books left off with Jon Snow dying.
Oh, that's where the books leave off. No way.
Jon Snow's not even. He's still dead, like in the books.
Holy.
Which is why everyone's so mad.
I didn't know that. Okay, wow.
That's why everyone wants the show to. That's why everyone wants George to finish writing it, because that's the part. After that, there was no more source material. Even some of the other stuff going on around there actually happened earlier in the books than in the show. So like the show went past the books by a lot.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't know that. I definitely didn't know that. Okay. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised people were happy with the six. That would have been 6 and 7. Because he dies in 5, right? He dies at the end of 5.
I think so. 6, like some of the stuff in 6 was in the books, and then the rest of it was just. That's when people started saying they didn't like this. But that also had the greatest. That had the Battle of the Bastards. That had like,
dude.
And people hate on season 8, but one of my favorite episodes of the entire show is season 8, episode 2, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, where Jaime knights Brienne and all of that.
Dude, that's my favorite scene from the entire show.
That whole episode, though.
Yes.
Like where they're all drinking and just like that moment of calm, that moment where everybody is equal and everybody is just they're just trying to get their solace in before. Literally, the apocalypse almost.
Yeah.
And that's the most human thing in the world. That like a lot of people blame people when they have drinking problems or drug problems, or they go into these spirals. Mm-hmm. But it's the events that led you there that cause you to go through that. It's just trying to cling to everyday life. You're just trying to be present, and sometimes it's just hard to get through a day. Never know what anybody's been through.
It was such a great culmination, though, for Brienne, man, because just that moment and him doing it is the best part of it.
But Jaime leaving was that was such a gut punch.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I thought those two were going to end up together. I really did. I really thought those two were going to end up together, man. I really thought he was over Cersei, but he just couldn't get past it, man.
They have too much in common. Like DNA.
Oh man, I hate that. That is the one part of the ending.
Too. That bitch fucked everybody in the books.
Oh really?
She's fucking Osmond Kettleblack, her handmaiden. She was groping and grabbing. And,
I gotta listen to the books. I think I have a couple of them on audio too. I gotta listen to them. So okay, well let's hop into House of Dragons because this goes back before all of this crap and
200 years before the events of Game of Thrones.
I personally believe this is a stronger first season than Game of Thrones is.
I mean,
personally.
All right, here's the thing. House of Dragon has the benefit of Game of Thrones coming first.
Sure.
Game of Thrones didn't have a budget for the first couple of seasons, really. It was they were sparsely budgeting it, but also it was building an entire world. I see it like Game of Thrones had to be made in order for House of the Dragon to have that first season.
That's fair. I wouldn't disagree with that for sure. Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that.
Especially the budget. They would never have given them that budget if it wasn't for Game of Thrones.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Game of Thrones started out with like a couple $100,000 an episode, and by the time it finished, it was like $10 million an episode.
It's insane how much they went to one episode of TV. That's insane, dude.
But I mean, it became the biggest show on the planet.
Yeah.
People forget because of the circumstances surrounding season 8, just how must-see TV Game of Thrones was. Other shows are trying to get there, like you have your Ted Lassos, you have all these shows that people are talking about, but Game of Thrones was like everybody watched it Sundays because you knew if you didn't, it was going to be ruined the next day.
The only other show I remember being like that, to that extent, and probably not even as big, but just remember people talking about it the same way and always hearing about it the same way, was Lost.
Yeah, and The Sopranos.
And it's yes, I
one.
would agree with that. Yeah, definitely Sopranos. Yeah, but there's very few shows that are like that, or that have come along that are like that.
It used to be more common back in the day.
Yeah,
I feel like Game of Thrones was like the last one.
I would think so, man. I mean, Mandalorian's kind of close to that, but that's still very niche.
Yeah,
it's not
that's what I was going to say. It's not
as
global in its reach.
Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely different. It was a different beast.
It's also Mandalorian's on a streaming platform.
Sure,
it's not on a TV show where you have to watch it at one specific time. I mean, granted, it's going to be streaming after that, and they would drop it on HBO Max or on HBO Go or whatever
it was
Now.
at the time. Yeah.
At the same time, and it would actually drop about 4 minutes before it aired, or like 5 minutes before it aired. So I'd always catch it as soon as it dropped. We'd all be waiting. We'd put it in group messages like, all right, it's out. Go watch it.
Yeah, and again, I don't know why I missed it. I just missed it, and then eventually it was just like I have to watch this. I mean, it's right up my alley. I know I'm gonna like it once I watch it. So
I mean, especially because you got to remember the inspiration for it's Lord of the Rings. So I mean,
yeah. So and I knew I would like it. Like I said, just for some reason, I was just like, I'm probably so far behind that. There's no reason to watch. Like I just probably made up every excuse possible.
The good thing too is the seasons weren't super long.
It's pretty easy. I've watched it now 3 or 4 times all the way through. Easily. So I love it. But so are we getting a continuation in House of Dragon at all, or is this only good? Is this going to move forward in time now? Different people?
No. The next season's all about the Dance of the Dragons.
Oh, that's right. We still have to do that. We still have to do
Civil
that.
War. Yeah. It hasn't like you think that everything that happened was just
the setup,
the prologue. We haven't even gotten into the real meat of the story yet.
How long can this show really go? Like, what do you think is a realistic?
They're talking about doing it as like an anthology series,
right?
So you probably get like 2, maybe 3 seasons with this story. Probably one more season. I think next season, if they just go all out, it should really be 1 season. The rest of this specific part of the story, but then there's so much stuff.
Well, and we're getting a Duncan and Egg spinoff, right?
These 2 seasons of TV are about 2 pages of the book, or like 1 chapter of the book. It's such a
really
small part of the book.
And this is Fire and Ice, right? This is Fire and Ice.
No, this is Fire and Blood.
Fire and Blood. Sorry, Fire and Blood. Okay.
The Fire and Ice, or the World of Ice and Fire, is the history book for Westeros. This was specifically 2 people, a maester and a court jester's retelling. Like a lot of the history in Westeros, it's not like it was recorded as it happened. It was mostly third-party accounts.
Yes.
It's a lot of it's not known what exactly the truth is. You just hear both sides, stuff like that, which it makes it a little more intriguing. And it also gives them a little more.
I love that about that he did it that way, because that is a really super unique way of telling a story, especially a story of this scope and scale that he decided to go with. Because
all of the books are told first person, like every chapter is from a different character's viewpoints.
But it's actually events.
So you get their thoughts too,
right?
So like you get like if you're reading like Tyrion's chapter, you get the inner mechanisms of his brain going. You feel what he's thinking. You see his intentions. It's not like so much like the shows where you have to try and guess what people were thinking. Or
I never was guessing what he was thinking.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was always guessing what he was drinking. It's thinking, same thing that I was thinking. Hey, I could use a drink and a blowjob.
Exactly. Yes, that's pretty much it. That's all you need to know about him. Yes, exactly.
And like a good book,
Oddly enough, I think he's probably, and I know this sounds weird because I love this character too, but him and Sansa are probably the 2 best overall characters to me. Like, actually good people.
Tyrion's a little gray at times. Sansa's a little gray at times. The best people, I think it's Samwell Tarly.
Oh, that's fair. No, that's obviously
up there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he's definitely up there. But I just mean that even though, yes, they do things that are
hot pie.
That's fair. That's fair too.
I think Gendry is probably a pretty good character too. Everything in his story. Jon Snow, everything he does is he's like Ned. They're noble to a fault. Like it's like you go too far.
I don't see, and I was not the biggest Jon Snow fan, man. I was never the biggest Jon Snow fan. I just wasn't. I think he was too weak to rule.
Yeah, but sometimes
he's kind of like Viserys from. Not Viserys, from Lord House of Dragons.
I know, yeah, but
he's a great person, but not a. I don't think he would be a good king. I just don't.
I disagree with that because Jon is fair. Viserys is blinded, whereas Viserys wouldn't tell like his wife and wouldn't stand up to his people. Jon Snow is like Ned. He's like, sorry, man, I believe you. I think you're telling the truth, but you're a deserter, so I got to cut your head off. Like he believed in doing the right thing. So I just don't think he was the right leader. Like I think at the end of where Game of Thrones was, he would have been fine as king. But he never wanted to be king. And I think that's the people who make the best leaders are the ones who don't want to lead.
Sure. No, I would agree with that 100%. I don't know. It's just there's just a few.
He's very Aragorn-y.
I can see that. I can see that for sure. I like him.
Not knowing that
it's not that I don't like him as a character. I don't know. It just there was certain times where I felt like he should have put his foot down, and I don't think he did.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be king. I don't want it. I just want to sleep in my aunt.
But I feel like that's just an archetype too, because there are people that want to be king that can deserve it.
Oh yeah.
But
generally, anybody who, especially in that world, the people who want power, they say you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. Every
like
Targaryen
how bad of a
born,
king was Baratheon? How bad of a king was he really? Because he just seemed really.
Because he didn't do anything.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. Yeah. But he wasn't like a tyrant. He wasn't like killing people in the streets.
He did try to murder 2 children, and he did. But, like, he didn't do anything. He just got drunk and let other people do it all.
And bang chicks.
They went into debt so much and all that because...
But really, what else are you going to do as king? You're going to get drunk and bang chicks. I mean, come on. That's what you're going to do. It's good to be the king. Mel Brooks told us. It's good to be.
It's good to be the king.
I mean, hey. Look. I don't know. I don't think Brad, at least from what we see of him in the show, I don't think that he's a bad person. He doesn't seem like a bad person.
I don't think he's a bad person. I just think
he's definitely a bad king. I know that.
A terrible leader. That's the point. He just literally just, he's like Tyrion, except dumb.
See, I think Tyrion would have been a great king, actually. I think Tyrion would have been a great
Probably.
King.
Because, the same reason why he thinks Bran would be a great king. Because the people who were broken, who had never accepted, who had to deal with being on the outside in life and making their own way and not getting things given to them, you get to see the struggles that other people are going through. It's one of my biggest things in real life is there's 2 types of people in the world. There are those who struggle and go through something, and they say nobody else should have to go through this. And then there are people who struggle and go through something and go, well, I had to deal with it, so should you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big divide in people. That one little perception change changes everything.
Yeah, because when you go through something, anything, you have to be able to empathize with people that are going through it too, man. You have to. I agree with you 100% because that is I know exactly what you mean by those type of people, man, that are just like, oh man, yeah.
It's the same thing with like people who were beat as kids. Some people beat their kids because they were beat. Right. Some people will never beat their kids because they were beat.
Because they were beat, yeah.
It's all about how we like perception. It's all about how you view your situation and how you learn from it and what.
I just never understood that one either, man. How you could hit a kid for any reason, like for anything. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Like it's a kid. You're a grown adult. Like, how can you? I don't know.
Listen, don't ever call me an adult again.
Right. I'm done adulting today. I already did my 10 hours at work. No, man. I love Game of Thrones. I really do. I love it, and I don't know as much about it as you for sure. But it's definitely top 3 to 5 for me with fantasy stuff. I mean, I think
it's great. I love it. And that was my first foray into communities. Like the thing that I loved about it was how positive everybody was, how much everybody loved everything. And that was the biggest disappointment I had with season 8 was not the show itself or even season 7. It was the divide that it created in the community. You saw a lot more negativity popping up. I like feeling like I belong, having people that I have common interests with that I can identify with. Same thing with the Schmodown. When I found the Schmodown, I fell heavy into it because of the community, because of the people, because of all the great people I got to meet, the Dagninos, the Kaisers, the Andrew Guys, the Ben Bateman. Like I've gotten to be friends with a lot of people, meet a lot of people, and that, the Jake Yakovetas, the PLDs. There's so many people that they take you in. They associate the Ben. I mean, me and Ben, when I first met Ben, it was in YouTube chats, things like that. And then we moderated a Facebook page together for SEN Live. And he was very hesitant. He was trying to find people to do a show that he was going to produce because he said that he didn't feel comfortable being on camera and he didn't think anybody would want to hear him talk.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, listen, you should do it. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. If it's going to make you happy, if this is what you want to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. 100%, man. 100%. Yeah, Ben needed to be on camera for sure. I'm glad he finally did it. Yeah. Because that was some of the best times, and definitely for us with this channel, man, and growing this channel was backstage or whatever it was, just trying to get him to laugh was some of the best stuff we ever had.
Yeah, Breaking Ben.
Yeah, I mean that was literally what we tried to do all the time, was just get him to laugh, because he really was he was a light. I mean, everything attracted to Ben. I mean, he really did. So, yeah, I mean, I remember first meeting him, and I remember talking to my wife after we had our first little actual conversation, and I was like, I don't want to say no, but I don't know if I could get, if how it would, because I couldn't really, get the pattern of how he talked yet. I didn't, it was literally the first time I ever talked to him. And by the time I talked to him the second time, it was like, oh, this makes total sense. I get it. Like this is going to be easy. Because Ben, yeah, man, he was already, he was such a great person, man. Just so easy to talk to. So I'm glad he did bring me in, and you've eventually, and Josh, in on this, because
Ben was the flame and we were the moths.
Man, I wanted to do something with like a year before, and I didn't have a computer, so I couldn't. And I'm glad I finally did get to do it with him. And like I said, meeting all you guys, Taco and John and everybody in general, man, it's just been great. But no, let's talk about Schmodown a little bit, because when did you find that? I guess that would have been the same time you found kind of on YouTube in general, right?
So the way that I found the Schmodown was I was looking up Game of Thrones things,
Gotcha.
And a Nerds Watch match came up. And Ken Knapsack, Rachel Cushing,
mm-hmm.
And it was their match versus Team Action, I believe. That was the first match I ever saw, and I was hooked.
Yeah,
I love trivia. Trivial Pursuit was my game growing up. I'm big on competition, and I love movies. Now, I'm not at all great at movie trivia. I'm much better at actual trivia.
Yeah.
But you put me in front of a Game of Thrones trivia match, probably do all right. But I love seeing people be good at stuff. I like watching people enjoy themselves. I like watching people just be good at something and make them happy. I like seeing people have genuine joy doing things.
Yeah.
Which is why I hate a lot of that, the attitude that people have where they have to talk down about things all the time. Because just let people like things, bro.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that was honestly one of the things that really Ben was all about too, with the channel too, was, we can criticize things, but we're not going to talk down about anything. Like, that's just not us. So I respect that for sure. Wow. So Team Action versus Knapsack. That was when, Knapsack and Cushing were together, right? Yeah. Dude, what a team that is. Holy shoot, that's a team. They would have destroyed
that people. Was because Rachel when she first came in, she was so nervous. She didn't really talk a lot. So having
I
Ken there,
think she's the best player of all time. I think she's better than Merle. I just don't think she played long enough for us to actually know.
it's entirely possible. I mean, she was a triple threat player. She could play in every division.
She was really good.
Dan Merle, I mean, if Dan Merle played in a geekdom in the early days, I feel like he would have crushed it.
Oh yeah.
I also think you gotta respect a guy like Mike Kalinowski.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that they're not good.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like I don't know if there is one greatest of all time. I think they all just had different career paths. You know, Dan Merle left for a couple of years in the middle there.
Sure.
I just think that.
I think she could have had just as good, if not better, run than he did. That's what I mean by that more than anything. Yeah.
I just wish she would have gotten a singles title.
I would have loved to see her stay.
That's one of my biggest disappointments with the Schmodown is that we never got to see that.
Dude, she came out as Galadriel one, the one who loved it. That was one of the best intros ever at the Collider studio, man. That was great. That was so great. There were some great memories from that, though, man. Schmodown was like the thing for me for like 5 years straight. Like that's all I did was Schmodown.
And once again, that's another thing. Like I loved it. But when I first went to the first New York show, the first live show they did outside of California,
you got to go. Oh man,
I was hooked. I got to hang out, talk to all these people. I met friends that became like family to me. People who were so accepting, warm, welcoming, and it's that whole community thing, you know.
Yeah,
it's important to feel accepted.
It really was a great community overall. And again, I wasn't as deep into it. I'm not. I don't want to act like I was, but I don't remember a lot of like. I remember hearing about controversies, but I don't remember seeing it. Like I don't remember ever seeing.
It was mostly just a couple of D-bags.
Right. And usually Christian would just be like, this is what happened. We're not dealing with this person anymore, so we're moving on. Like that's
before I started really getting into it a lot, I know there was a few things with the Facebook group with some a lot of sexist, misogynist pricks. But a lot of the fandoms tend to attract some of those people.
Yeah. It's hard to keep that stuff out of any kind of fandom, dude, especially once something really gets a lot of people to watch it.
Yeah.
You know? It's hard to keep the haters and just bad people out, bad apples. Because some people, dude, like the Joker, some people just want to see the world burn, dude. It's true. It's unfortunate, but it's true. There are just those people.
But the thing that they need to realize is when the world burns, new trees grow.
Ah, exactly.
So as violent, as evil as people want to be, something better will always come and take its place.
That is true. That is true.
Silver linings, you know?
Absolutely. All right, so I wanted to finish on one thing. What do you think? So tell me about a little bit about the Dunkin' and Egg show.
Or at least what Dunkin' Egg. So Dunkin' Egg is it's a series of short stories, novellas.
Okay.
That is, you could breeze through that in like maybe a day, 2 days. It's a set of stories. So Egg is Aegon the Fifth. He was the grandfather of the Mad King, I believe, or the father. I think it was the grandfather of the Mad King.
So who would he be related to, like that I would know from House of Dragons? I guess I would say
all of them.
No, yeah, obviously, but I mean, is he like great grandson to somebody? Right, and you don't have to be specific. I'm just trying to kind of just. So I think
he's either the Mad King's. I think he's the Mad King's father, but it might be his grandfather.
So it's not close enough to the point where it's going to get confusing. I guess.
No, it's closer to Game of Thrones than it is to House of the Dragons. For instance, Rhaegar was born when he died.
Okay.
There was a fire. The theory is they're probably trying to hatch dragons. But Dunkin' Egg takes place when he was a kid. The beginning of it.
So we're what now? How many years before House of Dragons are we again? Or before
House of Dragons is about 200 years before Game of Thrones.
So how long before Game of Thrones do the dragons disappear?
Probably about half. They're going to start disappearing soon.
Soon. Okay, so that's kind of in the area we are right now. Is right
Yeah,
before
it
all that.
starts. It's going to be.
Gotcha.
It's a slower process. They start getting smaller, smaller,
Well, I guess the
smaller.
Dance of Dragons is what kind of starts it, right?
Well, yeah, when you have a civil war with everybody
Yeah.
flying dragons, you lose a lot of dragons.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
And then there's a splinter group of bastards because one of the kings legalized all of his bastards before he died.
Okay.
And that created all kinds of problems with lineages and all that. So they call themselves the Blackfires because the king gave one of his bastards the sword Blackfire, and was the sign of the sword of the king, and
Okay.
it created all kinds of controversy and stuff. But Dunk and Egg takes place when Bloodraven was a young kid, not a young kid, but like a 20-something-year-old man, maybe.
Okay.
Bloodraven is the three-eyed raven. Brendan Rivers, he became the three-eyed raven after, but he was Bloodraven. He was like a wizard kind of. He was one of the bastards.
He's the one that's in the tree when we. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
So Dunk and Egg, he is like the right hand of the king, who is. I'm trying not to spoil.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Stuff.
I got you.
The beginning of that series, though, the first book,
Yeah,
you have a 5-on-5 or a 7-on-7 battle, and it all started because Dunk stopped the king's son or nephew from like abusing somebody, and then they tried to get him killed for it.
Okay.
Like
I said, I'm excited for this universe because I love Lord of the Rings, and as much as I do love Lord of the Rings, it's a very kiddie version of fantasy. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that you deal with within it, but Game of Thrones is just more mature. It just is.
I think the biggest difference is Lord of the Rings is more high fantasy. Game of Thrones, as much as it's a fantasy show and there's dragons and all this, it's a gritty, political drama.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of like Andor and Mandalorian. It's like, which one do you want? You know, they're both great. Which one do you want?
I can enjoy both of them, Adam. So we've been over this. I can find. I just like liking things.
No, I'm actually excited for that one because I don't know a lot about that. I was excited for House of Dragons because I didn't know anything about that. So, now this is the one that I don't know how I'm going to feel. The Jon Snow spinoff. Is it still happening? Do you know? And what is it going to be about?
So it's supposed to just be a straight up Game of Thrones sequel. Like it takes place.
So we're going to get Bran back. We're going to get all those characters back.
I think it's mostly taking place north of the Wall.
Oh, okay. So
it's going to be like a Tormund, Jon, buddy cop kind of thing, comedy sort of drama. I mean, as far as I know, they haven't released too much information on it, and it's not something that was written about or has any type of source material, although I do believe that George R.R. Martin is working on the show, so
I don't think you can make a show now without him at least attached to it in some way.
Not after Game of Thrones.
Yeah. If you're going to do something in that world, he has to be at least a writer or an overseer of the writing.
The funny thing is, there's two people that work on all of his books now. Like all the history books, they're the ones who actually... Because George, when he's writing, he'd forget the orders things happen. That's why sometimes there's like continuity errors in the books. They eventually started writing them like, I think you meant that this and this. And I thought this person's related, so that he ended up bringing them in to check his work.
Hey, dude, how do you keep all that together in your head? Like that's
why he hasn't finished the books yet. It's too many threads to try and weave together, and I think that he's having trouble making everything make sense. Because Game of Thrones, the show, they left out a bunch of stuff. Like there's entire characters missing. For instance, Lady Stoneheart. When after the Red Wedding, they bring Catelyn Stark back to life after she's been in a river for like a week, and she's like this vengeful zombie that goes around murdering all the enemies of the Stark children and shit. Like. It's like
whoa.
Yeah, people were waiting for her to come to the show, but she never came. And like it's great.
Dude, that would have been a crazy reveal if that would have happened.
You know, Thoros of Mir and Beric Dondarrion, the Lightning Lord. So the one who kept dying and the priest kept bringing him back.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So in the books, Thoros of Mir refuses to bring her back. So Beric Dondarrion gives his life to bring her back. He gives her his life.
Okay. As I say, that was kind of a weird one, too, for the show, at least, because they were already kind of mentioned or shown once or twice in the show, and then that just went away. It was like, well...
It didn't really go away. He was in the battle north of the wall. He was over there. Like, they had their place.
But I mean, we don't really get a focus on them for like any other reason other than the Hound with the Hound and the other scene we get with
it. Also, which they touched on briefly, but they didn't really get into it so much. Thoros of Mir, during the battle, he like was drunk and he charged to the gate and he like single-handedly almost basically won a battle. And everyone thought he was so brave, but he was really just trashed and just fucking just drunk and just rode in there. He didn't give a shit. And Jaime Lannister, like that was one of his biggest influences in life, and he motivated all these other characters in the show, even though everyone thought he was this hit, but really he was just shit-faced. Which is also how I got through life.
Hey, I think a lot of us get through life that way too.
My 20s, you know?
I don't talk about that. I don't talk about those days. No, man, awesome. Dude, I'm so glad you came on, man. I really am glad we got to talk about this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Dude, Game of Thrones, I really don't know as much as I should know about it, so that's one thing I definitely wanted to talk to you about. But yeah, man, crazy New Yorker, crazy East Coaster like me, for sure. Yeah, dude, I love this stuff, man. I love talking about this stuff. I mean, come on, guys. I'm a kid. I'm 5 years old talking about this stuff. I am what would happen if Big happened to a 5-year-old.
That's my favorite thing. My favorite thing is that my son is now falling in love with all of the things that I am.
Yes.
And I get to share that with him. My parents, they introduced me to a lot of stuff, but as I started getting older, my father was very much, you shouldn't be focusing on this. You should be focusing on this. This is a waste of time. Video games could never make you money. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I could have been rich. But, you know, I want my son to grow up with all those positive memories, but more so even.
I 100% agree, man. 100% agree. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about that real quick before we go. So your son's been on the channel a few times. Mm-hmm. He wants to do this crazy stuff that we do. I don't know why. He's too young to know what the hell is really going on. But no, we've had some really cool moments with him, man. How is that getting to do that with him? Because I know you said you've got to talk to him off camera where you tell him, but how is that actually getting to do like the after out of theater reaction with him, and then he got to do a trailer reaction with him? So it's
great. There's nothing better in this world than seeing things through the eyes of a child. It's been one of the things that gives me that ability to put positive spins on everything. Mm-hmm. It's because, man, they don't care about, oh, this didn't completely make sense, or this should have went a different way. They just watch things and enjoy it for what it is.
Yep.
And that's something that we should all take. Everybody should try and just find things to like. You don't have to sit there and watch everything about everything. And some things might not be for you, and that's also completely fine.
Yep.
Not everybody needs to like everything, but you don't need to hate it either. Some things could just not be for you. You could not engage at all.
Yep. Yep. Hey, I agree 100%. Guys, just have fun being a nerd. Have fun being a geek. That's
what this is about.
You guys don't understand. Like Joe's old enough to remember. We got like Batman 89. Like we got like sparse stuff. The amount of comic book and nerdy stuff we are getting today doesn't match what we got.
And when we were younger, you got fucking teased and you got shit for being a nerd.
Yes.
We had to suffer through this shit. And now
I couldn't be a Star Wars fan for years, dude.
Now nerds are the bullies. Like, this is what I was talking about before. Have empathy for the situation that other people are going through.
Absolutely. 100%.
Just like what you like and don't be a dick.
I couldn't like Star Wars for years, dude, because I knew I would have got roasted at school if I would have walked into school with a Star Wars T-shirt on. Oh my god, it would have been the end of my high school, whatever school career. Like I was done. Yeah, no, you guys really don't know how good you have it now. Just the amount of stuff you get, but the quality that we are getting. Yes, not everything is amazing or 100s, but
it is all.
damn, we're getting some good stuff now,
If
guys.
you don't like the writing or whatever, that's fine. But it all looks a billion times better than the shows I watched as a kid. The Birds of Prey, Project X. Is it Project X? That's the movie. Why can't I remember the name of the show?
What are we talking about?
It's a Canadian show that was made for TV when they couldn't use the X-Men name because they didn't have Mutant X. It was called.
Yes.
So they called it Mutant X because they weren't allowed to call it X-Men, and it was like some off-brand. I binged the whole show. Like I don't. I'm a
Dude,
Doctor
one of my
Who
favorite
fan.
shows was Quantum Leap. Do you remember Quantum Leap?
Quantum Leap was great. They remade it.
I freaking love that show. Yeah,
even
it was
the new
really
one's
good.
pretty good.
Yeah, new was good. Yeah. There were, but again, we didn't get the amount of stuff that people get today. Like you wouldn't have got Rings of Power next to House of Dragon at the same exact time in history.
I don't think we would have gotten any of that if it wasn't for the success of Game of Thrones, even.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, just those two shows together at the same time. There's no
just
way
like if it wasn't for the fact that Blade succeeded, we never would have gotten most other comic book movies. Nope. It takes everybody being on page. You have to have things in the mainstream, and a lot of nerds get mad because they change things to make it more mass appealing. But we wouldn't have any of it otherwise.
Right.
Like, be grateful.
Absolutely. No, I know that 100%, man. Yeah. No, definitely. Dude, again, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, I know it's our channel and you're, but still, no, I really like talking to you about this stuff, man. It's awesome. Always awesome. So, let them know, man, where they can find you and let them know what's going on with the Sunday show, man. Had some great guests recently.
Joseph Boros on Twitter. We've had some great guests. Kaiser's been on. Mm-hmm. We had Jason Gowan, who is a friend of mine that I met through another podcast called The Parents Lounge. They're hilarious, which I found them because Kate Mulligan's part of it. So, but we're gonna have more guests in the future. I think this Sunday, or I don't know when this is going to air, but I want to try. And there's a new Magic the Gathering set coming out that's based on Lord of the Rings. So thinking maybe we go through some of the cards and explore the differences between the cards and the characters that they are about. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get some more great guests coming up, but it's more about us doing kind of this, just talking, getting to know each other, hanging out, and trying to make each other and all of you laugh and just have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the Sunday shows have been great. Yeah, like you said, we've had Kaiser on. We had Gowan on. Man, he was fun. He was really fun to have one. Kaiser's always Kaiser. I mean, you can't not have fun with that dude. So just
Paul Preston.
Paul Preston.
Can't forget about Paul Preston.
Absolutely. I missed that one, and I was really mad about that because I wanted to meet Paul. I really wanted to meet Paul.
Great guy.
Yeah, hopefully we can get him back on in the future again for sure. Yeah. No, I like Paul. I like watching Paul at least, or from Schmodown and stuff. So
yeah, that's the biggest difference between like this and that. We don't try to interview people. We'll ask them a couple of questions, but it's mostly just about them coming to hang out and have a good time. We want our guests to feel welcome and to just have fun.
Yeah, our Sunday show is our version of the not Schmodown, but the Schmoes. Just us sitting in a room acting like idiots. That's what we do.
It's just decompressing after a long week.
Absolutely. You guys know where you can find me, though, at Jedi Master Tuck. Find me here on the channel, guys. We are still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget the notification bell. Titans of the Turf just ended. Crazy stuff happened there. This guy was a part of some of it. So
I don't know what you mean, man. I don't remember that one. Can you be more specific, please?
Please go watch the championship and see what happened with that, because there is some crazy stuff coming for season 2, guys. We are so excited for that. But look, check out Jedi Academy. Please check out. We have this show, Queries. We also have our Lost show that I will actually be filming very soon with Dave. So season 3, look out for that.
And hopefully, with all these new fantasy shows coming out, we're gonna have some episodes of The Fellowship coming out.
Fellowship
probably
will
not
be coming
weekly,
back.
more of like after showy kind of vibe. But
Sure.
well, a lot. There's gonna be a lot down the pipe for all y'all. So make sure you like, subscribe, check out our trailer reactions.
Hey, you know what? There's also a Harry Potter show coming too soon. So that show might come back to being daily, actually, or weekly. So
hopefully,
because there's going to be some stuff to cover very soon in this fantasy world. So no, I love it. I can't wait for that. Yeah, definitely look out for our Fellowship coming back though, guys. But as always, guys, I am Jedi Master Tuck, filling in for the head geek Ben. This has been Joe with me. This is the Multiverse of Geekdom. We're crazy over here. Come join us. Bye, guys. See you next time.